Today on Studio One, more women are now holding jobs traditionally filled by men. We'll tell you how a court decision may help women in one important career. Also, many people have a strong commitment to recycling. We'll show you a ranch where signs of reuse are all around. And we'll take you to a cooking class where the recipe is thrown out the window. The first ingredient in this Native American bread starts with the cook's attitude.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hello everyone and welcome to Studio One. I'm Monty Cashel.
And I'm Jenna Lynn.
Well, you know, every once in a while when you're walking out maybe in the forest or something like that, you run into a baby animal. I know it's happened to me before.
Could have been hurt or abandoned.
Yeah, have you ever run into...
I've found a few birds in my day.
Yeah, and you kind of wonder...
You want to nurture them back to health.
Right, what do you do with them? Do I feed them with an eyedropper, take them home, you know? Well, we're going to let you know what happens. We have someone from a zoo who's coming on later. They're going to bring on some baby animals of their own and tell us what to do if we find one that is maybe hurt and needs help. That's coming up on the show. Also, there's a great need for social workers in the U.S. We'll tell you what's keeping many young people from going into this important profession.
Also, depending on the generation, you remember teaching tools like blackboards, overhead projectors, or white marker boards. However, one expert will tell us why playing games is becoming the better way to learn.
But first, here's today's news with Mariah Torning.
Thank you, Monty and Jenna. Chinese President Hu Jintao met with President Bush in Washington, D.C. Thursday. The agenda included human rights and the standoff over Iran's nuclear program. The presidents also discussed the United States' $200 billion trade deficit with China. Washington has complained that China is blocking international goods by keeping its currency artificially low. Both leaders say they want good trade relations.
Our two nations share an interest in expanding free and fair trade, which has increased the prosperity of both the American people and the Chinese people.
While the two presidents were speaking, protesters gathered across the White House lawn. They were demonstrating against China's policies toward Taiwan. China has threatened to attack Taiwan if it pursues independence. A female protester was taken into custody after disrupting the ceremony. She was screaming about the ban of the Falun Gong, a spiritual movement in China. Cities across the nation have a huge problem in common. High school dropout rates are rising. The Educational Testing Service estimates that 1/3 of all students will drop out. Minorities are twice as likely to quit. One reason many teens leave is because they have problems with time management. Some high schools deal with this by offering an alternative school. Students there focus on fewer classes over longer periods of time. The Educational Testing Service says there is a great need for workers with high school diplomas.
But skilled labor is so much more important than before. So the longer you go to school, the more salary you're going to make, the more income you're going to make in your life, and the need for that education has never been more important.
Finding even minimum wage jobs can be harder for dropouts due to immigrants working for less pay. People may now be able to sip on their diet soda with less worry. A federally funded study done by the National Cancer Institute found no links between the additive aspartame and blood-related cancers. Aspartame is used in many different diet drinks like Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi. Aspartame is also sold under the brand names of NutraSweet and Equal. Health concerns have plagued the product since its approval by the Food and Drug Administration in 1981. Social workers play an important role in serving children and their families, but not enough young people are going into this profession.
Rebecca Erickson is studying to enter a field that fewer students are choosing. Many students are shying away from becoming social workers because of the long hours and low pay.
I think the wage is a big deterrent for a lot of people because who wants to go to school for 4 years and then have debt for the next 20?
Social workers like Barbara Kramer say part of the problem is that young people and others don't know enough about her work.
I think there's a misunderstanding within our society of what social workers actually do. I think there's a bit of a stereotype that we go in and take kids out of homes or we give out welfare checks. And really, social work is an extremely diverse profession.
Shortages are causing current social workers to put in longer hours, and many say they plan to leave their jobs soon. This would make the situation worse.
I think we will be facing a crisis as the boomers including myself, grow older. We're living longer, and I'm sure that we're going to see a problem.
Despite the gloomy outlook, students like Rebecca are committed to this career.
I'm not in it for the money, I'm in it to help people.
And agencies hope more students with that attitude will help meet the growing need of social workers. I'm Amanda Pizik, reporting for Studio One News.
A national study released this month by the National Association of Social Workers says students are less likely to go into this profession. And that's the news for now. Monty and Jenna?
Thanks a lot, Mariah. Well, it's certainly spring outside because I'm seeing a lot more of those big puffy storm clouds out.
Yeah, and it's been raining a little bit more.
I even saw some hail.
But April showers, they always bring May flowers,
yeah,
we hope.
That's right.
But we're going to go to the weather studio, and Matt Benz is going to tell us about what's going on in the rest of the nation.
Well, definitely April showers do bring May flowers, but the big story for April has been the warmth. For the first half of April, we've been way above average for across much of our viewing area. Look at that. In Grand Forks, your average high is approaching 60 degrees, but recently you've been seeing your averages way above this, and that's been the case for much of the upper Midwest, and much of even the mountains here have been seeing extremely warm temperatures, and that's some good news because it allows us to get out and enjoy the nature and get out and enjoy the warm weather. But first of all, I'm going to show you a storm that was kind of like a fish out of water. You'll take a look at this. This looks like a giant hurricane kind of spinning here across the upper Midwest. Well, it's not a hurricane, it's just a dying storm. And if you take a look off towards the East Coast, there's a storm that kind of looks a lot like it. Well, this storm is kind of out of place. It's actually a storm that is dying. It's falling apart, and that's unique because usually they die off towards the East Coast, but this one is dying off across the Midwest. This is usually where they form. And what we see is, if we look at a surface map, a storm needs two things. It needs a warm front and a cold front. So you have a cold front here and a warm front here. Well, if you look at this storm, there is none. And what this is an occluded front, and that's where a cold front catches up with a warm front. And what you have is that you have cold air here, mild air, and usually you're supposed to have a difference of hot air and cold air, but instead that's locked off towards the south and it's being cut off, and these storms just kind of spin off and they dissipate because they get cut off from moisture, which is another main ingredient for what they need. As we take a closer look at this storm, you can see what's called a dry slot begins to form, and that's a dry slot is where we begin to see dry air being sucked into the system. It's being ingested. This more or less suffocates the storm. You can kind of follow this ring around. This is what gives it the spiral appearance here as it goes into the center of the storm. So this is where we begin to see the storm die off, and it just means it's dying off and it'll slowly move off towards the east. Well, with the question we're going to ask you, which recent year had the most tornadoes? And this relates to a CNN story we'll have later on about some of the tornadoes we've been seeing across much of the country, as well as a story about the flooding that we've had in Grand Forks.
All right, thanks, Matt. Have you ever seen Twister?
I saw part of Twister.
Okay. Well, it made me want to become a storm chaser, which I think it inspired a lot of people to do. But
I'm sure. And there are storm spotter classes where you can actually get involved.
Yeah, I don't know, we'll see.
All right, let's learn some more about sports now, and that we can do that with Nathan Shane.
Thank you, Monty and Jenna. The Atlanta Braves have won the NL East 14 straight years, but the New York Mets are looking to take that crown away. The two teams met in the last game of a three-game series that is shaping up as what could be one of the best division races in baseball. Well, the Mets won the first, the Braves won the second, third one up for grab. Bottom six, Tim Hudson pitched well, but it doesn't hurt to get some help. Matt Diaz would throw Jose Reyes out at the plate, keeping the score tied at 0. Top of the seventh now, Andrew Jones looking to change that. Hits his 4th home run of the series, 8th of the season. He's hot right now. Braves up by 1. Bottom of the 7th now. Tim Hudson pitched well, like I said, but getting some more help. Chris Woodward grounds out to Tony Pena, who makes a great throw to first. Final score, Braves win 2-1. On to the Angels at the Twins. Top third, Twins up by 2, but Orlando Cabrera hits the home run to left. Game tied at 4. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th now. Mike Redmond flies to right and gets some help when Vlad Guerrero drops it. Angels now only up by 1. Bottom of the 10th now. Michael Kadire up to bat, and he would hit it off former Twins J.C. Romero, and that would be enough to finish it. Twins win off the game-winning home run 12-10. Athletes are always looking to get an edge over their competition, but one exercise enables players to jump higher and play harder. Plyometrics is an exercise that builds muscle by alternating between lengthening and shortening those muscles. Young athletes who participate in football, basketball, volleyball, or soccer can benefit from the exercise. Athletic trainer Kyle Barron says when done correctly, the benefits of plyometrics are substantial.
So you're looking at foot speed, trying to become a quicker athlete, faster, working on vertical jump. You want to be able to jump higher. Plyometrics is a form of training that is going to help you be able to do that.
Plyometric moves can be very intensive. The National Strength and Conditioning Association says that only accomplished athletes should participate in plyometric drills. And it's now time for the Studio One Sports Trivia question. And with spring comes golf. So we want to know, what is the maximum number of clubs that a player can carry during tournament play? And the answers range anywhere from 12 to 15, and we'll have the answer to that plus a story on golf later on in the show. Monty and Jenna?
Thanks, Nathan. Robin Williams is back in a story about a family vacation gone awry. We'll preview the movie RV later in the show.
Also, the amount of red ink on a piece of paper often determines a test grade. The familiar red marks are disappearing, and students are being challenged to figure out what is wrong instead. Our next guest will explain why this is happening.
Need to plan an entire conference? Want to provide your employees with professional training and development? The Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota provides quality programs and services for career enhancement. Whether you want to attend educator workshops or need a certificate for your profession, the Division of Continuing Education can help you achieve success. Contact the Division of Continuing Education today and let us meet your professional needs.
George Bull and his partners found value in farina, the whitest part of wheat, and created cream of wheat. Patrick Haggerty founded Texas Instruments and helped it become one of the nation's high-tech giants. Raymond Rood is responsible for the modern diving board. His diving boards have been used in every Olympic competition since 1960. Chris Moen and Marlene Schott launched their food company through the UND Entrepreneurship Program. Will yours be next?
The University of North Dakota Alumni Association and Foundation, together with thousands of alumni and friends, are making a difference at UND. Thanks to generous private support, many students have experienced the rich history, tradition, and spirit of the University of North Dakota. UND alumni and friends understand the importance of education and are proud to be part of UND's growth and success. Learn how your gift to the UND Foundation can benefit you and your university. You can make a difference.
Advance your career with a graduate business degree from the University of North Dakota. The graduate school at UND offers a variety of master's degrees that can help you stand out in the competitive business world. Our programs accommodate full-time students as well as working professionals. Our state-of-the-art facilities, dedicated faculty, and entrepreneurial training position graduates for careers as business leaders. Make your move towards a business leadership position. Contact the UND Graduate School today.
Tradition runs deep among American Indian people. One of those traditions is helping others. At the University of North Dakota, American Indian Student Services is dedicated to helping students succeed. Our support services include tutoring and financial aid assistance. We have more American Indian programs than any other university in the U.S., making UND a leader in Indian education. Be a part of our tradition. Call 1-800-CALL-UND.
You're watching Studio One, your source for news, weather, sports, and entertainment.
Kids are usually more entertained by playing games than sitting in a desk at school. However, these two things combined may be the educational wave of the future. Digital gaming expert and educational researcher Richard Van Eck says computer games are becoming more valuable in the classroom. Well, thank you so much for being here today. So what can you exactly tell me about DGBL, or digital game-based learning?
Well, there's a couple of things to recognize about it off the bat. The first thing is that those of us that are studying games and learning are not studying it because we think learning needs to be fun, although there's nothing wrong with learning being fun. But the reason that we argue that games have a place in the educational curriculum is because of what they do. They embody very well-established educational principles of learning. And because of that, they're good for promoting problem solving and a lot of other skills. And so we look at them in three possible ways. We look at how kids can design games, which is kind of a problem-solving activity. We look at how commercial games can be used to support existing curriculum in the classroom. So we can take games like Civilization and tie that to history courses. And so those are the kinds of approaches that we take to do that, to have them either play commercial games as part of the learning process, or to design games, or to build games from the ground up.
How did you become so interested in this type of teaching?
Well, I got interested in it for a lot of different reasons. I was a game player as a kid, and I really felt that what I was doing with those games was not only engaging and entertaining, but I felt like I was working very hard during that process. And I thought, I'm learning things when I do this, and why can't my school activities be more like this? And I didn't know what I meant by that. I just felt like I knew that games couldn't be what I did in the classroom per se, but I felt like there were things that were happening there that could have made my educational activities a little more interesting to me. So that's really where it started. And I played a lot of computer games growing up. And as I decided to go back into, for my PhD in instructional design, I was interested in exploring this idea of how technology and games might be educationally useful.
Okay, there must be like tons of stuff out there. What types of programs do you decide to use, or that would be best for educational use?
Well, it's a complex process. Digital game-based learning is not necessarily something we should do because it's easy. It's actually very difficult to do well, and one of the things that I worry about, that many of us worry about, is that people will sort of latch onto the idea that games are for fun, and that somehow we know that they promote learning, so all I have to do is have my kids play a game and somehow they'll get something out of it. That may be true, but the process of really integrating it into a classroom and into the curriculum involves studying that game to understand what it is it covers, what it doesn't cover, what it does well, what it does not do well. And as most teachers do, studying that media and figuring out what you're going to do in your classroom to address the weaknesses and maximize the strengths of that technology.
So in the future, is it probable that teachers will have to teach this way?
I don't think teachers will have to teach this way, and I don't think that digital game-based learning is going to take over our classrooms. I think it's one very powerful tool that can show us two things. It can show us a way that we can bridge the gap between what happens in the classroom and what happens in kids' lives, and make learning a little more relevant and engaging. Mm-hmm. But it can also show us how some of the best principles that we've kind of gotten away from in our educational system are embodied in these games. And by understanding how these games teach what they do. For instance, when you play a game, you have to understand how to achieve the goal within the game. Nobody tells you how to do that. There isn't a book that tells you how to do it. You have to explore that. And that's a very powerful instructional strategy. And I think as we get used to those kinds of things, we can start applying those same principles to the classroom. But it will always be a tool, just as digital video or film strips or books or magazines or the internet are part of our educational curriculum.
Are all games good for learning then?
All games are potentially good for learning something, but they're not all equal.
What about like violent games? Are they good?
Well, that's a loaded question. No, obviously we're going to have to make some decisions about what games support. When we look at them, that's what I mean by studying them, to understand what they're good at and what they cover. Every game can be used to teach something, but it's going to be a very effortful process. And if it's not if you don't get enough educational bang for the buck, it's not worth pursuing it in any case. I like to point out that games like Grand Theft Auto, which are, many of us find to be very unpleasant, abhorrent kinds of games, when you think about what's happening in them, can actually be very effective learning tools for teaching about criminal justice, for teaching about society, for teaching ethics and morals. We teach by example and by non-example in our classrooms. So my argument is we have to understand what the game is doing and make good decisions about how we want to use it and who we want to use it with.
All right, well, thank you so much for being here today. It sounds like a fun way to learn. So.
It is.
Coming up, spring often brings the birth of many baby animals. Later, we'll have some of those animals along with someone who will advise us on how to take care of them. Also, we'll show you a whole new way to carry around your belongings. It involves rivets, metal, and a part of your vehicle's past.
Studio One closed captioning is underwritten in part by Options, your disability information source.
Earn a degree in engineering while you continue to work. The University of North Dakota's Distance Engineering degree program offers the only ABET accredited undergraduate degree program at a distance. Instructors and classes are delivered to you through online lectures and condensed on-campus laboratories.
It's convenient, it's flexible, and it's a quality education.
UND Continuing Education and the School of Engineering and Mines, teaming up to bring quality education to your door.
Wall Street has come to the prairie through the A. Kirk Lanterman Investment Center at the University of North Dakota. This state-of-the-art facility in the College of Business and Public Administration provides hands-on experience in the world of modern finance. Students learn how financial markets react with lightning quickness to world events. They use cutting-edge technology and real-time data from more than 200 financial markets around the world. The Lanterman Investment Center provides the tools to make a career out of an education.
There are many things to be found at the University of North Dakota School of Law. You will find a place with small class settings, an affordable place that offers student interaction with both the state and federal court systems. You will find a school that has averaged over 90% placement for its graduates the past 5 years. But most importantly, you will find the skills and experience you'll need throughout your legal career. Find your future at the University of North Dakota School of Law.
Explore the educational opportunities available through the Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota. With just one phone call or a click of the mouse, you'll find high-quality programs designed for today's adults. We have a large selection of continuing education courses that are available at a time and place that's convenient for you. Discover a world of learning through the Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota.
A new comedy called RV puts a twist on the traditional family vacation. The film stars Robin Williams, who plays an overworked character named Bob. He simply wants to spend quality time with his family, so he's promised them a dream vacation. Bob surprises his family, who thinks they're going to Hawaii, and drags them into an RV road trip. Things immediately turn sour. Williams says he has his own views about RVs.
It's this big vehicle that you live in, and they open up and all of a sudden the whole family gets out. It's kind of the adult version of the clown car.
Most of the production took place in and around Vancouver, British Columbia. The production crew purchased 5 RVs for the film. RV opens in theaters April 28th. Now it's time to take a look at the events happening in your area. Many people try to recycle to help the environment. One couple has found a unique way to use old parts in order to get a perfect fashion accessory.
This house is full of handmade furniture and antique items. Along with these trinkets is a workshop that creates a handy accessory.
We had been shopping with my sister and my husband in a little shop and came across similar purses and just decided that we could probably make them.
What started was an obsession with turning a license to drive into a fashion statement. Penny's husband was willing to help create the unique purse. He sometimes wishes it was easier to do.
It's hard to clamp something together when it's round and have it kind of held in place so you can get your rivets in place. And so it's like you wish you had 3 or 4 hands.
Penny finds that making the purses can be a relaxing escape. Although she wanted to make these purses on her own, her husband has been giving a helping hand.
Originally, I was hoping to do the whole thing, but I have some health issues. So now Dan has to do all of it, and I mainly do the clasps.
In order to find the right strap, Penny and her husband had to use trial and error.
Tire tubing for handles. Then we bought some strips of leather, and about a year ago we started using old purses, or old belts, I mean.
With great skills and teamwork, this couple has turned something ordinary into something extraordinary. This is Jessie Weber reporting for Studio One.
Penny says she sometimes comes home and finds piles of license plates on her doorstep. She even received license plates from as far away as Hawaii. Later in the show, there are some people who enjoy coming up with new uses for used items. In our Studio One Spotlight, we'll meet a man who got his wheels turning to create a unique way to recycle. That's story plus news, sports, and weather in the next half hour of Studio One.
The School of Engineering and Mines at UND has a long history of preparing students for successful careers. Through small classes and faculty involvement, students have unique opportunities to gain hands-on experience. Here, students launch a weather balloon to test a remote imaging device destined for Earth orbit. Students can also become involved in wind energy and fuel cell projects, design, build, and race a Formula One car, or even develop a camera that will generate agricultural images from the International Space Station. Find out for yourself how you can get involved at UND School of Engineering and Mines.
Do you need a flexible way to earn your degree? The University of North Dakota's Degrees After Hours program is designed to work around your full-time schedule. Whether you've got a family, a full-time job, or both, the Degrees After Hours program offers you flexible alternatives. You can earn a degree or take courses online through video conferencing and in the evenings or on weekends. UND's Degrees After Hours program fits your needs, your schedule, and your goals. Contact UND today.
This can happen.
Excuse me, can I get a ride?
What?
My car broke down. Can I get a ride?
No, I can't help you.
Look, it's just a ride.
No, step back.
Get in the car!
No!
Women can defend themselves. To learn more about Impact U or to enroll in a class, call the UND Women's Center.
From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Welcome back to Studio One.
Thanks for joining us today.
Well, earlier in the show, we were talking about the concern for high school dropout rates and how it's becoming on the rise.
And it's well known that if you stay in school, you get better educated and therefore get...
It's always something to fall back on.
Yep, usually better jobs in the future.
But we went out on the streets to ask others what they thought about the concern, whether it was something wrong in the high schools, to see what their thoughts were on that.
We'll look forward to their answers. And also coming up in the next 30 minutes on Studio One, firefighting is a dangerous job, but it can be even more hazardous without the right gear. We'll hear about a court ruling that could assure that all firefighters are properly equipped.
Also, football players run through them and kids swing from them. Old tires can be used for a lot of things. In our Spotlight story, you'll meet a man who has put a new spin on recycling tires.
And when a person discovers a lone baby animal, instinct may drive them to pick it up. Later, we'll have two people, or actually one person, tell us why this may not be the best for the animal. But first, here's today's news with Mariah Torning.
Thank you, Monty and Jenna. Las Vegas police say a convenience store robbery by a group of young men is connected to other attacks. They say the group could be tied to at least 5 other incidents. Surveillance cameras captured several of the crimes this week, including the one at a convenience store. The video shows about a dozen young men coming into the store and stealing everything they could carry. Police believe the same group also attacked 2 MGM workers the day before. That video has led to one arrest, a high school senior. Daryl Williams admitted to hitting one MGM worker several times. He also said he watched the first fight and did nothing to stop it. Williams posted bail and denies being involved in the beating. A famed test pilot was found dead in a plane wreckage Thursday. Scott Crossfield was flying a single-engine plane in the mountains of Georgia. Crossfield was the first man to fly at twice the speed of sound. Officials lost radar and radio contact with Crossfield early Thursday morning. An alternative teaching method is becoming more popular in classrooms across the country. Problem-based learning, or PBL, encourages students to think about complex real-world issues. PBL was introduced in medical schools, but now professors in other disciplines are bringing it into their classrooms. Educators say PBL has many advantages traditional teaching methods are unable to achieve. Students rely on each other rather than their professors, which some believe is the greatest benefit of all.
There are a lot of students who find sitting through a lecture terminally boring and would like to be more involved actively in their learning.
Problem-based learning allows students to work in groups. In Barbara's history class, for example, students are asked to think about how people create an orderly society. While the popularity of MP3 players is running high, the volume in a new model will be low. The player, known as the Max Joy, will set its maximum volume at 60 decibels to prevent eardrum damage. It will be aimed at children ages 6 to 12. The player is also designed to resist dirt, water, and high impacts. A lawsuit was recently filed, which blamed the high volume levels in MP3 players for hearing loss. The Max Joy will be sold in European stores, but will be available to everyone online next month. Some female firefighters have not received equal treatment. Many hope more women will consider the profession after a federal court ruled in their favor.
Kelly Flaremone takes out the flames, and Tana Osley drives the truck. Both women were the first female firefighters hired in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Kelly says Grand Forks is ahead of the curve when it comes to equal treatment.
I feel the Grand Forks Fire Department has done a wonderful job in embracing us. We have custom fitted clothing, we have our private bathrooms, we have our private dorms.
But not all women in this profession have it so good.
In addition to battling fires, female firefighters have also fought for properly fitting gear.
A recent court ruling in St. Louis could affect stations across the country. 7 years ago, a group of women firefighters filed a lawsuit saying they were not given adequate clothing or equal treatment. They won.
I kind of found it disheartening that they couldn't work at it at a local level, that it had to get to the federal level and become a mandate down there.
Anybody who has to work in equipment that doesn't fit them, shouldn't have to go into a fire if their equipment doesn't fit them because they're at risk of being burned or hurt.
Even though these women may need specialized gear, they don't want special treatment.
I think women can be treated equally if they demand it. I don't think my coworkers would say that I get any special favoritism. I'm not picked on and I'm not favored. I'm just kind of one of the pack.
And when that emergency call comes in, these women are glad their station provides the essential gear and support to help them get the job done. I'm Ann Clark, reporting for Studio One News.
The first known woman firefighter dates back to 1818 in New York. She was an African-American woman named Molly Williams. And that's the news for now. Monty and Jenna?
Thanks, Mariah. Well, I know I wouldn't want to go into a fire situation not wearing the right clothing.
No, it'd be kind of threatening.
So it's a good thing that things are getting straightened out.
It is. Yeah. Well, we're going to go back to the weather studio, and Matt is going to tell us more about tornadoes.
Well, that's right. We've seen some pretty crazy weather over the last week, and I'm going to take you on a wild ride across the U.S. Starting off in the southeastern part of the U.S., they saw some hail. They saw golf ball size hail. This is actually just pea size, but they saw some golf ball size hail around Tennessee and North Carolina. Caused some minor damage, but take a look at this. This is an F2 tornado in Beatrice, Nebraska. It tore through some fields and some farmhouses. If you take a look at this next shot, it's ripping through a farm right here. It's just going through it like it's nothing, and that's a transformer blowing up. And it also moved through Nebraska, some of these other tornadoes, and you can see that was a chunk of a sheet metal barn that was just wrapped around a tree. So that goes to show you the power of these storms. But that hail happened down here, and these are two different systems, but that hail happened down here across the southern Appalachian Mountains, and then those tornado outbreak was associated across the Great Plains here, across this area right here. Well, in 1997, the Red River Valley experienced a once-in-a-century flood. It caused billions of dollars worth of damage and prompted many cities to build a new flood protection system. This year was the first time these systems have been tested against Mother Nature. When the Sorley Bridge in Grand Forks, North Dakota and East Grand Forks, Minnesota shuts down, people look towards the Red River to the north. With water flowing over one end of the bridge, both towns are at risk of major flooding. Since a devastating flood 9 years ago, these cities have been preparing for the worst with some new ways of keeping the water where it belongs.
The fact that we had about 85% of the project already done meant that there were a lot less areas that we had to deal with, so it went pretty well.
The Army Corps of Engineers has designed and built a $400 million flood protection system. This included a flood wall which could be erected during flooding and taken down after danger has passed. Community effort to implement this flood protection system has been important.
In general, things went pretty well. I guess I'm not going to attempt to acknowledge everybody that really helped, but it was a large group effort when we had our flood fighting meetings. I mean, we had 30, 40, sometimes 50 people in the room.
Although bridges may be shut down, communities have come together along the flood walls to fight back and watch the river flow by. Well, the Army Corps of Engineers says that an estimated $150 million worth of damage was prevented in Grand Forks and East Grand Forks this year because of the flooding. And looking back at your question, we asked you earlier about tornadoes and which year had the most tornadoes, and actually it was back in, looks like 2004 we had the most tornadoes, and we had just over 1,800. Second place there, 2003, we had 1,300 tornadoes, and this year we're already on pace to set another record.
So is it normal to have that many a year for tornadoes?
Well, back in 2004, that was actually way above average. For the last 10 years, we've been averaging about 1,200 tornadoes a year.
All right, well, thank you.
Wow.
That's interesting.
A lot of tornadoes,
Yeah.
a lot of wind. All right, let's go to Nathan Shane again for sports.
Thank you, Monty and Jenna. Many people spend a lot of time trying to improve their golf swing. Over the past decade, advances in technology have made the search for improved equipment just as important.
Each year, golf shops like this one love to see spring come around.
This is our Christmas. Christmas is more like birthday. I don't know.
Golfers in North Dakota are feeling the same way these days, with early spring being very kind in the temperature range. Golfers have been able to test their swings out on the driving range.
Well, you got to get out the few kinks in your swings on the range before you go out there and make a complete fool of yourself.
Many of these golfers are trying out new clubs, and while it's common to buy them right off the rack, this may not be the best approach. Consultants here strongly encourage people to test clubs indoors.
This shot right here was a small draw.
Computers and high-speed cameras record each swing, and the data collected shows the trajectory, speed, and distance of each ball. Clubs can also be tailored to fit sizes and requirements of golfers.
If you're playing with stuff that isn't set up for you, you know, stuff that isn't custom spec'd for your swing, you might miss shots left and right.
Whether a golfer has been at it for a while, just starting, or really just starting, experts say choosing the right clubs will reduce their scores along with the number of clubs they might want to break. With photographer Patrick Wynn, I'm Nick Johnson reporting for Studio One Sports.
Most golfers should use standard length clubs unless they are short or tall, because they allow players to hit the ball on center more often. And now the answer to this week's Studio One Sports Trivia question. So now that you know what kind of clubs to get, you need to know how many to carry. What is the maximum number of clubs that a player can carry during tournament play? And the answer is 14 clubs. Now you're not limited, or you are limited to 14. You can have less. So Monty and Jenna, if you find yourself out playing a golf tournament this summer, 14 clubs.
I'm going to have to hire a caddy, then I won't have to carry any. How about that?
I'll be your caddy.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Nathan. Well, tradition is important to keep any culture alive. Later, we'll meet some people who achieve this task while satisfying their stomachs.
Also, most often old tires end up in a junkyard or landfill. Coming up in our Studio One Spotlight, we'll meet a man who loves to rescue radios.
When you graduate from college, what will you be able to offer an employer?
Well, I'm a really good people person.
I really love working with people.
I'm very, very motivated.
I'm a great people person.
I am really motivated.
Offer an employer something more. At the University of North Dakota Career Services Center, we can help you get the competitive edge you need. Stop in or check us out, UND Career Services, empowering students to realize their dreams.
Did I mention I'm great with people?
The University of North Dakota College of Business and Public Administration offers real degrees for real people. Our nationally recognized faculty can help you earn a master's degree in business through evening classes.
Taking these evening classes were very convenient for me, and that's how I was able to complete the program.
We offer degrees for people who work, raise families, and lead busy lives. The UND College of Business and Public Administration, real degrees for real people.
The School of Engineering and Mines at UND offers students exceptional learning opportunities. Undergraduates are helping faculty design and build unmanned aerial vehicles to test remote imaging devices. They're also converting wind energy into hydrogen. Geological science students are contributing to environmental research. Extracurricular activities include designing, building, and racing a fuel cell car. Make the most of your college experience at UND's School of Engineering and Mines.
Let the University of North Dakota become your partner by providing your business with services to enhance your workforce. The UND Office of Workforce Development has extensive experience conducting employee satisfaction research, strategic planning, focus groups, and grant development. Call us for further information. Workforce Development, a service of the Division of Continuing Education at the University of North Dakota.
You're watching Studio One from the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks.
In some societies, food is not just a meal, but a signal of celebration. Today we're going to look at a food that is bringing people and culture together.
Students from all different backgrounds are here to learn about tradition and what some call an art.
But I've tasted it many times and I love it.
Really good bread. I like the texture a lot. It's kind of sweet, of course, and I like that too. Absolutely one of my favorite things to make. Definitely one of my favorite things to eat.
Instructor Twyla Baker Demaray is teaching her students about Native American fry bread. Twyla has been making this dish for 20 years and says there are some special ingredients in her recipe.
Good attitude is probably the best ingredient that you can put into your fry bread.
Twyla says that the cook's attitude determines if the bread will be good or bad. Fry bread is a special occasion food that can be made for parties, weddings, and powwows. Twyla says fry bread brings back some of her own favorite memories.
Just being out in the country, outside, outdoors, making fry bread with a bunch of other women and talking and chatting and teasing and laughing and stuff.
Fry bread is made by feel, which means the recipe is different for each individual cook. This freehand technique also surprised the class.
It's not a science, and there's so much of the art to it, and you find your own style and you find your own recipe.
Today, these students have discovered that attitude, memories, and culture have brought them together through this special meal. Reporting for Studio One.
I'm trying. I am really trying.
I'm Suzanne Schmidt.
Traditionally, fry bread is not made with any standard measurements. Twyla said that when she was asked to teach the class, she had to make up a recipe for fry bread. High schools are losing their students. In many areas of the United States, the dropout rate is over 50%. The problem has gotten worse in the past decade. We wanted your thoughts on what is wrong with today's high schools.
I don't think enough kids play sports, and they aren't active enough. They aren't in enough school activities.
Yeah, I think the thing wrong with our high schools today is the drugs and the alcohol, mostly. And all the parties that go on after school and stuff.
I really think one of the biggest problems is standardized testing. It really puts handcuffs on teachers and doesn't allow them to really do their job.
I think there's too much drinking and peer pressure going on to drink and take drugs.
I really don't think there is any problem with today's high school.
Many schools are more likely to institute a continuation program, to attempt to get dropouts to continue school rather than prevention, such as encouraging them to not drop out in the first place.
Recycling is an important way to preserve our environment. One North Dakota rancher has developed a unique way to prevent used tires from going to waste.
At first glance, this might look like a junkyard. But Corey Christofferson is more concerned with how he can use junk than how he can get rid of it.
I'll be right back with a bale.
For the past 10 years, Corey has been collecting every kind of used tire he can get his hands on. And instead of barbed wire to keep his sheep together,
That's basically all it is to it.
he stacks tires.
It's basically, they're stacked at like you see them right here in a brick fashion. It's just kind of sizing them up a little bit so they don't get really uneven, and then just lacing them like bricks.
One only has to look around to learn where the name of this ranch comes from.
And then we just put the sign up here not too long ago.
All of these tires
350,000 probably.
create 15 miles of fencing for his ranch near Tulna, North Dakota. The tires provide a windbreak and heat for his flocks of sheep. It also prevents the tires from going to waste.
Keeps them out of landfills, it keeps them from being burned.
The fences are easily assembled and rarely require maintenance.
It's not fun going out there and fixing it every winter because the snow broke this down and broke that down and the windbreak blew down and the boards blew off. This never has to be touched.
Corey's love of recycling doesn't only take the form of fences. He has used tires for flower pots, growing trees, and even building houses. While most may think that this reuse of tires is beneficial, there are those who feel differently.
They come out seeing what I was doing and decided that I shouldn't build fences. Christofferson's accumulation of 300,000 tires is not true recycling.
The state of North Dakota wants Corey to get rid of his tires because it says they pose a threat to the environment.
The state says mosquitoes could potentially be a problem.
Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water, and the state says the water in the tires will help them breed.
There's really a lot of water in these things.
They also say that all these tires could pose a fire hazard. For the past 6 years, Corey and his family have fought with the state to keep their fences on the ranch, but all their efforts have come at a price.
Because it's not fair, they took away my livelihood. We have no insurance anymore. We've dropped everything. We've actually went to apply for food stamps now. Because of what? Because I built a fence out of tires.
Corey estimates it could cost up to $500,000 to move all his tires to a landfill. Even though it may seem like he's tried everything, Corey says he won't give up hope just yet.
Well, to the state of North Dakota, I'm not going to give up fighting anytime soon, and I'm not going away anytime soon, so get used to me.
Maybe his ranch is a little tired out, but Corey shows no sign of slowing down in his fight to keep his tires. With photographer Nathan Shane.
Pretty good dog. State don't like me, but you do. Oh.
I'm Danielle Webster reporting for Studio One.
Corey got his tires from numerous tire dealers in North Dakota and Minnesota. They came in loads of 200 or more. Coming up, we'll show you some baby animals that could have come straight out of the forest. We'll learn what to do and what not to do to keep a young animal safe.
Studio One closed captioning is underwritten in part by University of North Dakota Student Government. Your voice, our mission.
The College of Business and Public Administration at the University of North Dakota is proud to announce the Page Family Marketing Center. A gift from alumni Greg and Cindy Page, this center promises real-world experiences as students begin careers in marketing. The center includes a specially designed conference room for focus group research. An adjacent lab offers real-time access to software and data for marketing decisions. The Page Family Marketing Center, your next step in marketing.
Tradition runs deep among American Indian people. One of those traditions is helping others. At the University of North Dakota, American Indian Student Services is dedicated to helping students succeed. Our support services include tutoring and financial aid assistance. We have more American Indian programs than any other university in the U.S., making UND a leader in Indian education. Be a part of our tradition. Call 1-800-CALL-UND.
Earn a degree in engineering while you continue to work. The University of North Dakota's Distance Engineering degree program offers the only ABET accredited undergraduate degree program at a distance. Instructors and classes are delivered to you through online lectures and condensed on-campus laboratories.
It's convenient, it's flexible, and it's a quality education.
UND Continuing Education and the School of Engineering and Mines, teaming up to bring quality education to your door. No matter what your schedule, no matter when you work, no matter what job you have now, this is your opportunity to accomplish your goals. Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota can work around your busy schedule. Bachelor and master's degrees are earned through convenient, flexible, and high-quality classes. Complete degrees are available online through correspondence study and on weekends and evenings. Earn a degree on your terms with Degrees After Hours at the University of North Dakota.
Many people love animals. Like any other infant, people want to nurture baby animals, especially when they see them alone and helpless. Nicole Lee is a zoo educator. She's here to tell us about baby animals and what we should do if we find one.
Thank you so much for coming here today, Nicole.
Thanks for having me.
So the winter months are kind of getting over now, and it's getting into spring. What do you do in the off season when there's no visitors at the zoo?
We do a lot of exhibit maintenance, and we still obviously have to care for all of our animals out at the zoo. All of our animals are pretty cold tolerant animals, so they all stay with us. We do have to move some of them indoors to keep them in warmer temperatures. And then I stay busy doing education programs for the public, and I do a lot of outreach programs where I take animals like the ones I have with me today out to schools and community functions.
Well, thanks for bringing these animals today. And in the springtime, you often see baby animals. Do you get a lot of calls with people who say they found animals?
We do. We get a lot of calls throughout the season asking us what to do with baby rabbits and baby squirrels and baby birds and all sorts of different baby animals.
Okay.
So.
Well, you have a bird sitting on your hand right now. What is that?
This is an American kestrel. It's a male. It's a type of falcon, and one of the smallest types of falcons. And he was actually a result of what we just spoke of just a little bit ago. He came to us last year. His nest had blown out of a tree, and the individual that found him brought him out to the zoo.
Do people often bring animals to the zoo then?
It does happen. It does. Usually they call before, and we're actually not really allowed to take animals from individuals that bring them to the zoo. They need to go through the Game and Fish department before they come. Before we're able to accept them at the zoo.
Okay, well, I'm making friends with your other little buddy here. Porcupine, I assume.
Yes.
Is it safe for me to touch him, first of all?
Yes, you can, actually.
Okay.
He's pretty friendly. He was hand-raised. He's about a year old. And he's pretty popular with the people at the zoo.
Are porcupines born with quills then?
They are. They're very flexible. They're not hardened up when they're first born, and they harden up a few hours after they've been born. So.
And now, am I right? Porcupines don't shoot their quills.
Correct.
Right. What are some facts about porcupines that we might not know?
Facts about porcupines. They're the second largest rodent in North America, second only to the beaver. Beaver is the largest. Like I said, he's only a year old, so he's got a ways to go. They can reach weights up to around 40 pounds or more. They don't throw their quills. They're completely covered with them in their back. And they're rodents, so they like to chew on everything.
Okay, I just saw them nip at you
Yep,
there.
whatever's in front of them.
Well, I know you brought something else. We'll let you get that out. And at the same time, if you could answer some more questions about the porcupine. You take this out to classrooms and things like that quite often?
Yep, he's pretty popular. Since he is only a year old, he's still pretty manageable and easy to take to different functions and events.
Okay. I've also heard that with baby animals, if you find an animal in the wild, that it might not be a good idea to touch them because, well, let's hope that porcupine doesn't fall off the table here on you, that if you touch an animal that the human scent will stay on them. Is that true?
That is actually a myth. Well, the scent will stay on, however, that will not deter the mother from accepting the baby back.
Okay.
So that's not the major concern there, but it is. You're
What
not
did you
sure
get
about
this
him.
owl? No, where's he
This owl is actually was found in Moorhead. Again, it was thought that he was abandoned.
Is it a good idea for people to bring animals to the zoo?
No,
if they find them? Like if I found
not.
a porcupine or an owl?
No. Animals, wild animals especially, it's best that they remain in the wild. If you do find a baby animal that you're concerned about, the best thing to do is to call local animal control or your game and fish department, game warden, and they're going to know what to do with it.
Is it ever a good idea then?
It's really not. It's actually illegal to take an animal from the wild, and you could be putting that animal or yourself into more danger than what you realize. So it's best just to call the proper authorities, because they're going to know how to handle it the best way, what's going to be the best for the animal. Animals can also carry diseases that can be transferred to humans.
Right.
And so, you know, it's a safety issue on the human's part as well as the animal's part.
Okay, so the best thing to do if you find an animal, don't do anything.
Right.
Call.
Leave it alone. Call somebody first. If you're really concerned, you know, even if it looks like the animal might be injured, especially if the animal's injured, they're probably going to be a little bit more defensive if you try and do anything with it, and that could put you in more danger.
Okay.
So.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and bringing your friends.
Yes, definitely.
Very neat to see them, and I hope that. How big does this owl get? In the
He's gonna weigh close to 1,200 grams eventually. Right now he weighs around 900, and he's a great horned owl. He's a baby great horned owl.
Excellent.
And
well,
he
thanks
likes
for
the
coming.
porcupine.
And please come again. It was
Yes,
fun.
definitely. Thanks for having me.
Well, you're watching Studio One from the University of North Dakota. We'll be back right after this.
The UND College of Business and Public Administration is reaching out to rural America. The Government Rural Outreach Initiative is working to connect North Dakota veterans with important information. North Dakota veterans can use the internet to access employment and business resources, health and benefits they deserve, housing information, and much more. The Government Rural Outreach Initiative is funded in part by the North Dakota Congressional Delegation. North Dakota veterans and their families can get connected by visiting go.ndgrow.com.
Become a leader in healthcare with a graduate degree from the University of North Dakota. The Graduate School at UND offers degree programs and advanced practice certificate programs in the allied health professions and nursing. Our faculty give you the individual attention you need to help you attain your career goals. Distance programs for practicing professionals allow you to pursue graduate studies without interrupting your career. Contact the UND Graduate School today.
When you graduate from college, what will you be able to offer an employer?
Well, I love working with people.
I'm a people person.
I consider myself to be highly motivated.
I'm a real self-starter.
Offer an employer something more. At the University of North Dakota Career Services Center, we can help you get the competitive edge you need. Stop in or check us out, UND Career Services, empowering students to realize their dreams.
I can offer you much more than just good people skills.
You're hired.
This can happen.
Excuse me, can I get a ride?
What?
My car broke down. Can I get a ride?
No, I can't help you.
Look, it's just a ride.
No, step back.
Get in the car!
No!
Women can defend themselves. To learn more about Impact U or to enroll in a class, call the UND Women's Center.
Tune in next week on Studio One. Summer is soon here and millions are already out practicing their golf swings. Next week we'll speak to someone who will tell us how North Dakota became an unlikely hotspot for golf. Plus we'll have other news and entertainment stories for you.
We're going to leave you now with pictures of firefighters training with a controlled burn. From all of us here at Studio One, have a great week.